going? What's going on? I'm trying to mix up how I introduce this thing, because I've come to notice that if you were to like make a compilation of my voice using this, it would be every week. Hey, how's it going? Well, hello, but no, it would be, well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. You know that song? You know that sound that means it's the weekend? Yeah, you get it. I'm doing this one really late. This is the latest the James Freel show has ever gone up. The past couple of months, it was not uncommon for it to go up on a Saturday, unlike the traditional Friday. And this is the first time it's ever broken over into the Sunday. And my persistence continues. And I will say, yesterday I tried doing it. I was walking to a friend's house, and I thought, you know what? I can just bootleg recorder, and I could do it while I was walking up and talking. And then I realized as I was doing it, it made me sound like I was about to cry. Like the walking cadence, and like it would hit my voice like every time I would take a step. And when you do that over and over, it makes it sound like you're about to cry. And it was also really cold out, and it was super windy. But, I got a trial run for what I'm going to do. So this is take 2 of the James Freel show. I don't know which episode this is. Hold on, let me bring that up. I got to bring it up for News for the Uninformed anyway, which we're going to hop into right now. Alrighty. Hold on. Whoa, that doesn't look... Oh, okay, I see what's going on. Oh, no, you don't have to bring that back. So I think this is episode 62, if my memory serves me correctly. Freel show, filling in space for people to talk about it. This is gonna be the 40th. Yeah, this is episode 62. I have 1 subscriber. Nice. I don't even know who that is. But, I still can't believe I continue to do these shows. I mean, they're ridiculously bad. I mean, they're not good. Had 3 guests on. It's getting to that point where, okay, I had 7 shows in between my first and second guest, and then I had 9 shows. It's been 6 shows, so it's coming up on the time where I need a guest on. And it's tough. I once had plans to have another dude on, and it was going to be great, and people were going to listen to it, but he just sort of faded away. I have no ill will towards him. I get it. Sometimes you make plans, and you want to do something, and then it comes to actually doing it, and you decide, you know what, maybe this isn't the best idea. So, you win some, you lose some. So how's it going in your world? Yeah, I had a good week. Well, I had an okay week. I wasn't quite sick. I was like diet sick all week. It's like I wasn't quite sick enough to call into work, and it would just come and it would go. Like, what I hated was every time I would eat, I would feel nauseous. And it's like, I hate this because I love food. Food is one of my favorite things in the entire world. I love to eat. It brings me joy to eat. And every time I would do it, I'd just be like, ugh, this is horrible. So, I don't know, you win some, you lose some. That's like something I say over and over and everything. Thing is, my mentor for my new job that I've talked about, he was up in Cleveland the last 3 days of last week. So I had to work on these online courses, and they sucked. They were not... no, they didn't suck, but I learn a lot better when I'm doing, not necessarily when I am, watching extremely monotonous PowerPoint slides. It's like, I get it, but the way I would learn best is if I did this in person, and then I'm going to go back and revisit these classes, because that's how I I remember that, and then it gives the more broader detail about what it was you were doing, because that stimulates the, just the learning element of it. So yeah, if nothing else, the more I work here, just the more I realize how extremely fortunate and lucky I am to have gotten this position. because I think, I've been doing this show long enough that you all know I used to work in a hospital as a co-op, and they have these things called safety meetings, and it's kind of funny. It's where they say it's just a gathering, a social gathering for work, and it's actually really good that they continually do these, because I've seen a lot of satirical news articles like The Onion about how work bar enters fourth unbearable minute, or like social gathering at work, and everyone who works there is really great. And I was talking to someone who still works there, and he's only a few years older than me, and we talked to him like, dude, why do you continue to work here? Because like I said, like there's a lot of opportunities out there where you could be making more. And for one, he talks about, for one, it's great to work and you see like your work helping sick children, and that is obviously very noble, and you can't get that in a type of job that I'm in. But also, he said it's just the staff they keep here is amazing. There are people here who are just great. And I couldn't blame him for that, because I looked back at my experience co-oping there, and I always get worried that the good times, and this is the most cliche thing I could possibly say, but I'm still going to say it anyway. It's just like, you always worry that you're out of good times, and you don't know they're the good times until they're over, and that's happened already. But now I've noticed that I've looked back, and you like romanticize good times, and you think, you know what, that was those were good times, because I looked back, I'm like, I can't believe it was a year ago I was up there working on medical beds and stuff, and those were the best because I could put on Pandora. He had this great speaker system, and just working on stuff, and I was able to push myself. What was great is like it's right on that border of chaos and order, because there's obviously, if you're a fan of this guy's work, I'm not gonna say who he is, but if you like, you don't want too much chaos because that becomes unbearable, but you don't want too much order because that becomes boring. And working on medical beds, it was in that perfect situation where it wasn't too chaotic. If I messed something up, you could always fall back and be like, okay, it's not the end of the world. There were definitely consequences if you messed up, but it wouldn't ruin your career. You might get reprimanded, as you should, but that's that. But if you, it's like if you still don't, how do I put this? There's still enough work there to push you, and I was able to, I was just able to make it work, and it was a great time. It was a great time, and I look back on them like, wow, those were great times. But I've moved on to different things, and the position I'm in, it has amazing perks. It may not have the same community because most people work out of their homes and everything, but still, it was a great time. Basically, that's how my Friday went. That was that was my weekend. Well, that was my Friday, rather. I did those things all day, those videos, and then it was right about the time I was invited to go to the safety meeting, and it was great to catch up with people, and I made a jackass out of myself in front of my fiance, and yeah, that was not good of me, because this female coworker who tries very hard to be a man's woman, if that makes any sense, and she's very nice. She hugged me, and I did not want to hug her, especially in front of my lady. And I was just like, I sort of froze up, and I'm just like, my fiance is right there, like in a joking way. She's like, oh, she doesn't care, and I'm like, oh, she might, That was a joke, but yeah, I can be really stupid at times when I'm in new charted territory that I haven't been in before. That's something I'd like to improve on. Is just getting my steps in order. Being able to think effectively in situation on newfound territory, if that makes sense. Man, did any of you see that Dr. Phil went on Joe Rogan? And that was awesome. I'm upset they only did like an hour and a half. And then the day after that, Alex Jones went back on Joe Rogan, and I haven't seen that yet, or I haven't listened to it yet. I'm going to, but um, it probably won't be as great as the first time he went on. I want to know how long it was. Oh, did I skip News for the Uninformed? I did. All right, let's. I already did this once. Sorry, we're having trouble with that. It's okay. Start new session. The top news story this week was Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen. Let's just see what comes up because I know that was the big thing. Testimony. Hold on. Yeah, I can't believe I skipped News for the Uninformed. 4 days ago because I want like the story that was on. Michael D. Cohen made it personal. In sworn testimony on Wednesday to the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, he painted President Trump, the man he used to revere, as a con man, a cheat, and a racist. His words were blunt and salacious and outlined a vivid bill of particulars against the President of the United States. Okay, so that was the biggest thing this week. He's going to jail, I think. That's weird how it's like you're going to jail, you're not there yet. I'd want to get there as soon as humanly possible so that I could, just get it over with. Because the longer you're out here, the longer it's going to be before you're done. So, I don't know, do with that information what you will. There's this collage of a cat we went to. After, so then in sports, I wanted to say this story versus Michigan basketball. It was the Indiana Hoosiers upsetting the number 6th ranked in the nation Michigan State Spartans 63-62. The offense got them there, but the defense won it for them. IU goes ahead late with a bucket and wins by 1. That was a good game. I saw it happen at the end. Yeah, I always think of. I'm not a huge college basketball fan. I like my team. I went to UC, so I think that entitles me to be a fan of them. Oh, that was hilarious in that show Parks and Rec, where the Ron Swanson character throws a chair at a little kid's back. Because I know he's a huge fan of Bobby Knight. They established that in like the pilot. And then he like throws a plastic chair onto the court. That was hilarious. I gotta look that up really quick. None of you can see this. Bobby Knight throwing chair. What year was that? Bobby Knight throws a chair, high quality. It's okay if there's some noise in the background. Looks like this was before the 3-point line. There's something cool about watching sports back in the 80s. Especially this is Indiana versus Purdue. Man, I would love to get back in that time where Indiana is good because they just like that logo. I always thought the logo kind of looked like it really looked like a cactus. You got the eye, and I never saw it as an I and a U until I realized what it was because I have family in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a great city. I love it a lot. I think gives Chicago a run for it. Nah, it's really just childhood nostalgia, which is why I love Indiana. I don't know if I'm at the part. Steve Reed, he's now doing the technical shots. I don't know if he has if the chair has or hasn't been thrown yet. It's just 3 technical fouls, so it wouldn't shock me if they've already happened because I'm guessing throwing a chair would make it a technical. Hold on. Yeah, is Bobby Knight still alive? You gotta admire the passion of him. Bobby Knight. He died. No, he's still alive. He's still kicking it, as far as I can tell. And he went to Ohio State. Oh, would you look at that? I think I just missed him throwing the chair. And I think the crowd probably cheered for it. I don't know. That's Knight throws. It's back. This is just sort of a raw feeling around college sports. Okay, here's a video where it's broken down, and you see it. You can't throw a chair. Let's see, standing up. He's yelling. He's got a polo on. Two-shot technical. Let's see what we got here. How much time am I wasting on this? It's still got half a show left to do. Yeah, here we go. And the crowd go. I wonder if he like maybe instantly regretted that. It doesn't look like it. That's another great moment. He's still yelling, so yeah. Let's see. That reminds me of Woody Hayes punches Clemson player. That time, KTO is a great channel. He did a video on it. I don't care for. Yeah, see, it's like when I was a kid. Um, I've always been in Ohio, but Cincinnati is such like in the border of like Kentucky and Indiana, so I've always felt like I'm more of a Cincinnatian more than I'm an Ohio fan. And I went to UC. I've got my degree from UC, so it's like why would I? As I've gotten older, I went through a phase where I loved Ohio State, went through a phase where I began to hate Ohio State, and now I'm just sort of like, hey, they're there. I don't hate them. They're someone we. I would love to get one of those T-shirts that says Buckeye State with UC on it. Um, yeah, those were huge back in 2009. Guy State UC shirt. I don't think they make those anymore. Those were great. I would love to get one of those. Yeah, I can find I see images of them, but I can't. I'd have to probably make mine. It wouldn't be like vintage. Not that I really don't care if it's vintage or not. Anyway, so that was my Friday as I just spent what probably 5-6 minutes ranting about something none of you can see. Let me just try Amazon really quick. Right here live on Buckeye shirt Cincinnati. Yeah, you can't really find them. There's an F. Yeah, anyway, so that was my Friday. It was a good evening. I was able to meet with, like I said, a lot of old co-workers. And I mentioned how I didn't really want to finish because I've met other people at my job who have a bachelor's degree in something that's not really related as I do because I have my degree in philosophy. And I went to a community college to take some courses. I was going to get my degree, but then I was offered this position. So it's like, yeah, I mean, there are other people here who don't have that 2-year degree. So what's the difference? I think, and then yeah, that later that night, my lady and I we watched one of my favorite comedy specials of all time, "Kill Them Softly" by Dave Chappelle. It was good. It was really good. It wasn't quite as sharp as I remembered it, but I really like Dave Chappelle. He's definitely my top 10 favorite comedians. Although I never really uh, got into his TV show, although what I've seen has been absolutely hysterical. Um, it is what it is. Moving on. So then Saturday, I there's a friend of mine who I've been trying to get on this show for a long time, and maybe eventually he'll get on it. We'll see. he's a tough guy to track down. He's a tough guy to get a hold of, and understandably because he's very popular, and I am honored to have had him in my circle of friends in high school. I took him to breakfast that morning because I wanted to ask him to be in one of my groomsmen, and he's going to be, which is going to be great. Um, it's I feel completely honored that he's willing to do it because I think it really caught him off guard. I don't think he expected it, and I even thought about he was in the running for best man. He didn't quite get it. I mean, he would have totally, it would have been a total worthy position for him to have it. But I'm thrilled that he's going to be able. Like, he had to check and make sure that he was available. And at first, yeah, that kind of upset me a little bit. It's like, dude, but then I thought, this guy is he is extremely busy, and he's got to spread himself extremely thin. And the fact that he was able to eventually that day give me the definite yes, he can do it. That was that alone was enough to satisfy me. I took him to breakfast. Originally, I asked, "Do you want to go to lunch or something?" And he wasn't free for that. But then he said, "I'm free for breakfast if you're open for that." Thing is, we went to one of those Cracker Barrel places, and I hadn't been there in a while. And I am I'm not a breakfast person, or at least, like I said, all week I had this stomach thing, so I hadn't been very hungry. And I got this thing just called the full breakfast that came with like eggs, bacon, hash brown casserole, biscuits, gravy, and grits. And I should have just gone with. I really should have just gone with their hash brown casserole because that's all I could get down. I was just still a little skeptical of what I could handle, but we had a great conversation. It's always great to catch up with him. I really hope that before I'm married, to get him on this show. I would love to have him on. He always tells amazing stories. We always have a great time talking. We can pick up right where we've left off, and it is what it is. Um, Shoot, what else? So that was my Saturday, and then after that, I had come home. Sort of had a lazy day. Thursday night, I had watched Dunkirk. That was pretty good. Although I did that horrible thing you do, where you have your cell phone out, and you're watching it, but you're not. Sometimes you're a little distracted, and you can miss like 3 minutes of it. I'm gonna have to rewatch that movie because it's something I definitely intend on watching again because it was really good, and I shot myself in the foot by not putting my smartphone away. Um, I don't like to complain about the effects smartphones has on this generation because for one, it's too easy to do, and secondly, I'm totally guilty of doing it. So it's like, why would I complain when I'm one of the biggest victims, or not one of the biggest contributors of doing it? And then later that night was last night. I got this buddy named, oh yeah, you've had him on, David Campbell. He's been on here before. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I saw him a few weeks ago to drop off his wedding invite, and I'm just like, you know what, and we always talk about, hey, we need to hang out, and we never. And people say that all the time, and they never do. And I'm like, no, you know what? I'm gonna force this to happen as far as I can without being weird. I'm just like, hey, dude, you free tomorrow? Let's hang out. Just chill. Let's just hang out. And we did, and I showed up, and his lady was there, and I was a little nervous at first to be third wheeling it, but we had a lot in common, me and her, so it was easy to. Like, I'm always worried. What I was worried about was, like, me only talking to David and not being able to, just talk with her also and feel like, oh, he's got a guy over. That's all he's going to talk about. And, what was amazing is, yeah, she knew a lot of music that she has a higher music IQ than I do, because I was able to talk about like 60% of my music career, which I've probably talked about on here before, but I'm gonna go ahead and say it. she had brought up David Gilmour. She had seen David Gilmour, and I was like, what? That's awesome, because I've seen Roger Waters. I've never seen David Gilmour from Pink Floyd, and I just basically said, the only reason that's so significant to me that you brought it up is my experience with music can be divided into pre-Pink Floyd and post-Pink Floyd. Before I discovered Pink Floyd, I liked songs. I didn't like artists. I didn't like albums. I just liked songs. I'm like, oh, Eye of the Tiger, that's pretty good. Oh, I don't know, the Weird Al. Okay, before Pink Floyd, okay, I liked Weird Al Yankovic. That was pretty much the only artist I would follow. There's that. It's like, oh, Blitzkrieg Bop, yeah, that's a great song. You know, all these just songs. I wouldn't follow tastes. And after I heard Pink Floyd, I'm like, whoa, Dark Side of the Moon's an amazing album. The Wall is an amazing album. Animals is an amazing album. Piper at the Gates of Dawn, that's a great album. The Final Cut is actually probably still my favorite Pink Floyd album. And that's the weird thing, is I really don't care for Roger Waters because he loves himself so much. And it has nothing to do with his Trump hatred. I mean, people who complain about that, it's like, he's been political. Did you listen to Animals? Wish You Were Here, that's another great one. But it's like, did you listen to this guy? I mean, he's always been political. I think it's more obvious, and I think he has sort of capitalized on the divisiveness. No, he hasn't really capitalized it. It's just easier, and it's more transparent. I don't think he's been any more... Well, maybe he has. I don't know. Who cares? She knew that, and then she knew who Ben Folds was, and I said, huge fan of Ben Folds. He's like who I'm a fanboy of right now. Totally into him. There's the Smiths, Elvis Costello. That's sort of okay. I wanted to go through my timeline. Pink Floyd. Then I was a huge Beatles buff. I guess through then I sort of touched around different albums, but yeah, I'd say through high school I really only was really into the Beatles, and I felt like being into the Beatles gave me a license to like be a music snob when that was really all I listened to. And looking retrospectively, I was really a jerk about my music taste. It's like, oh, I'm really opinionated about my music, and yeah, just retrospectively I'm like, should not have been doing that. As you know, no one... Being really opinionated doesn't make you interesting, and it doesn't make your opinions any more valid. Got into Los Campesinos, got into the Smiths, Steely Dan, huge. There's someone I became a huge fanboy of, is Steely Dan. Also Donald Fagen, he the lead guy from them. I think The Night Fly, his first album post Steely Dan, is one of the greatest albums of all time. It's when I think of my favorite album ever made, that comes to mind. And I've gotten over getting upset when that's not in my list. But anyway, I had a great time with the two of them. We went and got Gold Star Chili. It was great. There's that. Finally, just before I end, I wanted to say that I'm sick of people, whenever John Ross's record is mentioned, people go, speed's not everything. I'm like, okay, who in the history of any sport anywhere has said speed is everything? Unless it's the 100-meter dash, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone yelling speed is everything. And that annoys me, because it's like the slacktivism of sports, because people feel like they have this license to be the same jerk that I was about music, but about sports. Whenever he's brought up, someone's gonna come and be like, speed's not everything. Speed's not. Can you run a route? He fumbled his first play. Bobby, what's his name? Billy Hamilton. You know, he's really fast, but he can't get on base. Yeah, he'll steal every time, but he can't get on base. Yeah, speed's not everything. And people get to feel like they're these sports analysis geniuses by saying that over and over. That's my rant. It just kind of annoys me. Thank you so much for listening. That's going to be the end of the James Freel Show this week. See you next week, hopefully on Friday, maybe Saturday, probably Saturday. All right, and Lent starts. So that is what it is. Take care. See you.